What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode 59 of Armchair Producers. I am one of your hosts, George Tarrant, and I am joined, as always, through fire, through rain, through anti-Christian rhetoric, through Russian bots.
Yes.
Travis Croft fights through coronavirus. Neither of us have got it, but we practice sensible podcasting. We haven't seen each other in months.
We always use a prophylactic. In this case, it's around 40 kilometers. How's the apocalypse treating you, sir?
Well, I'm in the middle of nowhere, so it's pretty fine already. We've got the competition coming up over this Sunday to determine who is going to be master and who is going to be blaster. It's quite heated. There's a few interesting contenders, and they've already gotten into costume, so thrilling times.
I've got absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
Master Blaster from Mad Max Thunderdome.
I've never seen the third one.
Oh my goodness! You have to watch it just because of Tina Turner's weird hair.
But it's the one. It's the Godfather 3 of the Mad Max films. It's the one you can skip.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's got a really smart short person riding atop a really dumb brutish man who's blaster and the other guy's master, and they run Bartertown.
All of a sudden, that joke in Borderlands makes sense.
There we go.
No, I never saw Beyond the Thunderdome. I did rewatch Fury Road again recently, and what a great film that is. Let's hope they do decide to make another one while George Miller's still alive.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
But we are, of course, we were prepared for this day.
Yes.
For quite a while now. Like, some people, they got this whole, personal contact, being in the same room. That weird
amateur hour.
This is welcome to our world.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to a world where, I actually haven't been in the same room as you to podcast.
Been a while.
Pushing the year.
Probably.
We did try a couple of months ago, but the weather gods were not in favor of that.
No, they did not like us that day. But I would like to. I would like to actually put a conspiracy theory that I've heard regarding our show to rest, actually, and it is entirely true, because we are almost entirely listened to by Russian bots. We have been paid legally. We have been paid by the American government to attempt to pass the coronavirus digitally to the Russian bots. So it'll be interesting to see how our subscriptions go, whether it goes up or if it suddenly bottoms out. And if it bottoms out entirely, then we'll know that we're killers.
I mean, I was saying to you before we went on the air, but apparently the latest rumor is that you can now get coronavirus by hoping you don't get it. So that's just going to help our cause. It's an interesting time to be alive, I must say. Like, it's on a more serious note, it's a bit of a. I can't normally, if I go to work, I can't get on the tram and go to work from where I live now. Usually, because the trams are so full by the time I get here, you just can't get on. So you're up standing there watching 4 or 5 full trams go past you. You can't get on board. So I got to walk down to the train. I mean, first world problems, right? I walk to the train station instead, which is a bit further away to get on the train to go to work. But now, I get absolutely no problem getting on the tram at all to get to work. It's like the actual streets, normally very, very busy when I'm getting to work, very empty now. It's really weird. Like, this week I watched John Oliver, one of my favorite shows. Last week tonight with John Oliver, in front of in an empty studio in front of a white screen. You didn't realize exactly how much the live studio audience contributes to that show. It was really weird. And now we've got the start of the AFL season on Thursday night here in Victoria. And they're playing in front of empty stadiums. On Thursday night, there would have easily been 90,000 people at the MCG, and there was no one. So
it's
and
such
that's
a
never happened.
thing. Yeah.
But what is interesting, just to talk sports for a second, is all the American sports are shut down. NBA, NFL, hockey, Major League Soccer, baseball. I don't think would be running this time of year. If it is, it's not running. Major Premier League Soccer is not running.
Yeah,
they've shut down. Bundesliga has been put on hold. La Liga in Spain, I think whatever it is in Italy. Fuck Italy. They're not playing soccer in Italy. Only sort of major, I mean, I wouldn't even class it as any sport that I can think of that's actually being played at the moment is rugby league and AFL. They haven't been shut down. They're playing in front of empty stadiums. So that tells you one thing, a lot about Australians, right? Where our priorities are. Tell people, don't take your bloody footy. But apparently the games on this afternoon are being broadcast in prime time in American sports channels, in particular. I wouldn't be surprised if it was being broadcast in Britain because I pay for a subscription to Kayo, which is an Australian online streaming sports network, and there's nothing on it.
Yeah.
I mean, people are cancelling their subscriptions left, right, and center because there's literally no sport to stream.
Yeah.
Apart from the AFL. So it would be interesting. It's an interesting little opportunity with the AFL and the rugby guys are taking advantage of here to have their sport broadcast around the world while it lasts, because the league said as soon as, in the AFL at least, if any player is tested positive, they'll shut the league down for 30 days.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed, touch wood, that doesn't happen soon, because it does give us something to hang on to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's that little piece of familiarity. It's a familiar thing. It's comfortable, sort of.
Yeah.
In a world where nothing's comfortable and everything's weird.
Yeah. In the world where everything is weird, it's like, oh, yep, footy's still on.
There's some value in that. There's value in
social value in that, but at the same time, it's just really weird. It's just.
Oh, it doesn't feel. It feels odd because the stadiums are empty. They're not high fiving. They're trying to do these elbow bump things. And like I was sort of saying, if they interview a player at halftime, they stand, half the field away from each other, and they're giving each other space. And it's obviously that's a good thing. They should be doing that. But I think there's some value in it from just giving some people some morale. I don't know. I don't think I have any. I don't know if you have any relatives. But your dad alive during the Second World War?
Nah, not my dad. My nan, my only surviving grandparent. I had to really double check that. She is very much alive and grumpy, but she is far too selfish to actually understand that there's anything else in the world that doesn't involve her. So the fact that she has been taken to my aunt's place and is living with her and her partner, that she has been trying to do for years at this point. She's probably happy in all shades of the degree that my nan can be happy. But she's the only one who has survived the war. And from what I've heard from my mom and my dad and my friends over there, it's really, even more so than over here, it feels this whole thing is really revealing how selfish we are as a society. And
it really is. I just sort of thought that maybe her experience, she might have a frame of reference about what we're going through, right? Having been through the Second World War in Great Britain, maybe the Blitz, that kind of austerity and panic and fear and society just being fucking completely weird and it being completely out of your control. But and I think maybe they experienced the same sort of thing during the 6 years of the war here and in the UK. Like you sort of said, all of a sudden there was rationing. And can you imagine, like, it's even worse today. Like, you've got so much choice these days, having to go back to 2 ounces of tea a week or something.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. But back in those days, I talked to my grandparents about it for obvious reasons. They said, yeah, rationing was really hard, but you know, if you actually got on well with your neighbors and things, then you all kind of worked together just to make everyone feel a little bit more like it was normal, particularly for the kids, and the food was being stretched out as far as it could, and everyone felt like it was working as a community. Whereas here we are slowly but surely being told by the government, oh no, you need to have more and more and more space between you and just one other person. So it's, yeah,
in fairness, that's actually a medical thing rather than any kind of choice.
Yeah. And you know, people have panic bought all of this stuff, and it's very much highlighted, well, fuck everyone. And even on that, on the government side of it, like there's not a contingency plan where governments have kind of gone, all right, so if a pandemic was to hit, a proper outbreak pandemic like we're having now, if that was to happen, how are we going to run our countries? And just this kind of like, in case of emergency, break glass kind of scenario. No country has got that.
Well, no, it's interesting. I was listening to a guy, Joe Rogan podcast the other day about this with a writer and a doctor whose name I will now look up. Osterman, I think his name is. Yeah, Michael Osterholm. Michael Osterholm. If you're interested in knowing a little bit more about the virus and how we're responding to it, check out the Joe Rogan podcast with him. I know Joe Rogan can be, well, I mean, compared to us, he's a fucking professional, but he can be a bit out there. But he talks about, on that point you were sort of making there, but like, we spend all this, in his country at least, in the States, all this money on the military and aircraft and weapons and all this kind of bizarre. Tiny, tiny, tiny little portion of that would have paid for, you know, medical research into a vaccination for SARS, for example. Now, that may not have worked particularly well for the coronavirus, but it might have. Or it could have paid for the kind of preparations that would have helped at a time like this. Instead, as we've all heard, Trump fired the the pandemic response team a couple of years ago. And then he said, I don't know anything about it. So,
yeah,
Americans, you're stuck with. I mean, this is exactly what I was thinking when they voted for the guy. Like, this is exactly the situation you do not want, like, someone human running the show.
No.
Like, this is exactly the moment you want someone sober and reliable and intelligent and considered like Obama was, or even somebody patriotic and passionate, if misguided and corrupt, like Bush. You know, in fairness to him, his reaction to 9/11 was pretty good. Apart from declaring war on countries who weren't there, but, you know, the initial reaction was fine. So, you know, you're right. It comes down to the fact that we weren't ready for it. They should have been ready for it, because anyone who in this area knew it was coming, just a matter of when.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not sexy to spend money on this kind of thing. Guess what? It is now.
Yeah, hell yeah. Because I mean, I don't know about you, but every time I've ever like just looked into researching kind of what if scenarios of you know, the Third World War or things like that, and just looking at what are the biggest likelihoods of mass human extinction, that sort of stuff. And number one is usually nuclear war, closely followed by viral outbreak. And the governments of the world have got, albeit pathetic, nuclear deterrent plans to make sure that, oh shit, so-and-so country has just launched all of its nukes. We've got a contingency plan. We know what to do if that was to happen. And the viral thing is even more dangerous because it can start off with nothing and just spread and go. And it, you know, every virus has an incubation period, and it can spread for a couple of weeks before people suddenly start dying in mass numbers. And no one thought, oh, you know what? We need to try and work out, okay, so a two-pronged attack. How do we stop the virus, and how do we maintain our people that aren't infected? Two important things, in my opinion. But no one seems to actually have either of those plans in action. Or if they do, they are woefully undersupplied.
And as you're sort of talking about here, now that it's happening, it's real.
Yeah.
At least in our country, and from what I can tell in the States and the UK, you've got incompetents running the show who are kind of like aren't prepared to be as decisive as necessary to make sure they take the steps that need to be taken. Boris Johnson talking about herd immunity, which sounds, from what I've read, like a really bad idea. Here in Australia, they've kind of been going softly and sort of like inch by inching towards taking, decisive steps. Whereas, what if they, as you sort of said, if a week ago they said, we're locking it down?
Yeah.
Yeah, locking it the fuck down for 2 weeks from today, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
You want to stay home next week. And if you can, anything like that. Who knows what, maybe all will be revealed in time.
Yeah, it's true.
It doesn't seem like it's being well handled here in the West at all.
But like you said, bringing it back, a little bit of AFL, that little shred of normality. Let's carry on with the show.
Something exactly. So we have been tasked with saving the world by sitting on the couch, and I can tell you that my co-host and I, the calls from heroism, we will accept the charges.
Yes, sir.
By sitting on the couch and watching. Have you found anything worth binging this week?
Not really anything worth binging. I caught up on the rest, on the latest stuff of Picard.
Where I haven't watched your episode 9.
I think it's just I think there's just 2 more episodes of the season to go.
Well, I like the episode 8 as well, so we can talk that with some. What do you think? We watched the first episode. We were both sort of like, yeah, it's all right.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right. Mm-hmm. From the sounds of our last podcast, you and I might have divergent views. I know it's a shock, Russian bot listeners, that we had divergent views. It never happens. But where are you sitting after episode 8?
So I would say the first 3 episodes were really intriguing to me. I felt like this whole show has been a pot boiler. It's super slow paced, hyper slow paced. And the first 3 episodes, I was really digging it, thinking, okay, they're being far more considered and measured about everything. It was almost as if they were trying to do a true old school mini series of like that 10 episode really intense arc that you don't get too much of anymore. And if you do, they're usually kind of trashy or very vanilla. This, with the gravitas of Picard, of Patrick Stewart, the legacy of the character of Picard and Star Trek, there was a lot riding on this and a lot of hype, I think, building up before this came out. But going into this latest episode that we've both watched, they're still building, and it's like, okay, this is a hell of a lot of slow build-up, and we haven't had any real kind of proper payoffs to keep us engaged. That little bit of sort of like, that bit of chocolate at two afternoon, just to help you get through the hump of the day. A little bit of an adrenaline shot to get you going. And I think it's going to end this season. I think is going to end in a very compelling way, but I don't know whether that's going to actually quantify as entertaining or engaging. Does that make sense?
No, I'm actually on board with you there. I disagree with your earlier point that it's. I don't disagree that you found it intriguing. I didn't find it intriguing. I agree that it's been slow. Mm-hmm. Slow is the word to describe this show. It's incredibly slow. You could have cut episode 2 and 3 out of this series, gone straight from 1 to 4, and nothing would have changed. Like, there was really nothing of note that happened in those episodes.
It's all character building.
I don't care about the characters. That's the issue. I don't know anything about his characters.
That's it exactly. It's there seems to be a lot of hooking with Trek lore, and it's like, oh, remember this character from this movie, remember this character from this TV show, and it's like there seems to be a lot of fan service for Trekkies, but it seems to be all the wrong kind of fan service for the wrong kind of Trekkies. Like, they're tying a lot of this in with Star Trek Nemesis, the movie, what with kind of...
I hadn't watched Nemesis probably since it came out. I kind of find myself the first couple episodes thinking, shit, I should go back and watch it again because I can't remember what happened in Nemesis, other than the fact that Tom Hardy was in it, which was really kind of cool because you realize like he was very young and nobody at the time, and now he's a big star. This happened in Nemesis, and I'm like, oh, I vaguely remember it being about Romulans and there being an exploding planet, but like it was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was the last next-gen film, and it wasn't a particularly memorable next-gen film. This would be it's not like you made like the Marvel Universe went on hiatus for 18 years. And then all of a sudden they made a TV show that tied in with what happens in Endgame, the highest grossing film of all time that every man and his dog saw. This is the much maligned last film in the series until the Abrams verse films. So I guess for me, I'm sure that's what they were trying for, was going for character. I don't know these characters. I don't care about these characters. They're not interesting characters. So the character, every time the story went to the Borg cube, interest level hit flatline 0. I don't care about Soji. I think she's been terribly cast. The actress they cast is awful. I'm sure she's a wonderful actress in other roles. She looks like she's 15, not like some we're supposed to buy her as some sort of incredibly intelligent scientist doctor type. Wrong. I mean, there's a podcast I watch where they just refer to her as a diverse female character, and that I don't always agree with what this YouTuber says, and diverse female character 1 is as he refers to her, because that looks exactly like why she was cast, is because I don't know what her heritage is, but she's not white, and she's weird looking, and I guess maybe they did that because, spoilers here, people. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. She's Data's daughter, and Data didn't
kind of
sort of, but so she's not human. So we're gonna cast someone who looks weird. She just it's a terrible choice.
My problem with her is when it first started, and we had the kind of the action sequence, the fight sequence in the other one's apartment. That was good. And the brief moments where she was running with Picard before she died, I think it's in the first episode, people, so it's not a spoiler. That was, she had way more energy and engagement. And I was sort of like, okay, this character could be interesting. And then we introduced her identical twin sister. And like, oh, well, I can see which one of them got the charisma.
And the Romulan spy guy, who's like metrosexual Romulan, character number 1, and he has that weird thing with his sister. None of them are interesting to me. You're kind of cutting between the two. So they are the least interesting part of the show. So all the way through those early episodes, don't care what's happening in the Borg cube. You haven't told us what's happening on the Borg cube, and even now we don't really know what's happening. Even after 8 episodes, so to come back to your points. I think you're 100% right. Even after 8 episodes, we're still building, and you're not giving us anything. You're still like, ooh, mystery. I'm sorry. If this wasn't Picard, if this wasn't Trek, I wouldn't have stayed on board this long to find out what happened. You kind of need to give us a little bit. You sort of said some breadcrumbs, some bits and pieces along the way to go, I see where you're going. This is interesting, because all the way through, I've kind of been going. Apparently, Patrick Stewart said he would only do it if the script was amazing.
Yeah.
And, you want to go back to it. And he said it was compelling and amazing enough that made him to want to do it. And shit, man, in Patrick we trust. He wouldn't do, he's not exactly scratching for it, right?
No.
So all that money from doing the poo and the emoji film, just, making it rain, Patrick. So, I have to imagine that there's something good coming. Like all the way through, I'm like, Krusty's coming. Something's going to be there that made Patrick Stewart want to do this. And look, maybe there is. There's 2 episodes to come, and as you said, you're expecting something compelling. I'm not, because I've been expecting something compelling for 8 episodes now, and I haven't got it. I guess more that there's characters on the actual whatever the spacecraft Picard's on is called, and I think they're a little bit more interesting. The captain is on that Rios is starting to sort of get there. I think the actor is an excellent choice of casting here, and I think there's some interesting story. We're slowly learning a little about his backstory, but again, in episode 8, the way they handled it was pathetic.
Yep.
But though I really do find it interesting that he's on the ship by himself, and all the characters are holographic versions of himself.
Yeah.
That's actually, I've grown to quite like that, and they're all different sort of elements of himself, or different accents, stuff like that. I've really enjoyed that. Alison Pill is one of my favorite actresses, though I'm not sure she was being fantastic on this. She's playing Jurati, Dr. Jurati.
That's it. Yep.
And she has her moments. Like, I don't know, like the episode where they visit Canto Bight, for all what, that was not great. The whole sky thing was weird. I know if you picked this up. The episode where I went to Canto Bight, where so basically Dr. Maddox being taken hostage by some woman whose name escapes me. Sounds like vagina, I think. It was a lot of vagina. She's been taken prisoner by a lot of vagina. And that actress looks remarkably like Marina Sirtis, who played Deanna Troi in the original series.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, was that by accident? That can't have been by accident. You guys have seen the show before, right? You've seen it. You know the TV show they made in the 90s. Like, how can you cast an actress who is a spitting image of Marina Sirtis? And look, maybe they'll get to it, but I kind of doubt it because she's dead. Why would you do that? And then not go, hey, we all know that, Marina's in the series.
Yeah.
You're not going, we're not going to mention that she looks exactly like a beloved character from the original series. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
I think you're right in some degree. I agree with the negative stuff you said. I don't find any of it compelling or interesting apart after the first episode. It's got a little better as we've gone on, and they're trying to give us a little bit of payoff, and they're trying to give us a little bit of action. Some of the episode 7 where we got to see Riker and Troi again was kind of good.
I hated it.
Well, I mean, you don't have that emotional connection that I do to those characters.
But no, I actually kind of do, because Next Gen was the Star Trek that I really grew up with. But the characters, it's like I don't get why they're doing this. I don't get who these scenes are for, as in for the audience and for the cast. I mean, Picard, he had some mild epiphanies of how to react with Soji. Soji had some slight steps forward with their daughter, but it was like, okay, nothing. You're not going all. It's not like, okay, yeah, let's just really give them that fan service. Let's get a bit of the Will Riker in. Maybe they will, one of the first things they do is they're like, put the perimeter barriers down and scan for invisible stuff. And it's like, okay, maybe there's going to be a little skirmish here so we can see Will Riker fight again. Riker and Picard on the front lines once more. No, okay, maybe we're going to get deep emotional investment. We're going to get a little bit more of stuff that happened kind of off screen. No, we're just going to get very, very tangential, loose whiffs of little bits and pieces that apparently are revelatory in an earth-shattering way. And it's like, okay, no one seems to really have changed too much between when they first arrived and when they left. So I just don't understand it as a story beat.
No, I think you agree. I think it was pure nostalgia for me, member berries that got it. Plus, I think that the actress who played their daughter, Lulu Wilson, who played Kestra, was one of the performances of a series. I thought the daughter was, when you saw the daughter on screen with Soji, you're like, see, this is what acting is. Pay attention to the little girl. You know, like one expression. The Kirsten Stewart approach isn't going to do it for you here. So it was an acting masterclass for the character, the actress playing Soji, because she was really engaging and charismatic straight away. So there's an actress to keep an eye out for. I think maybe, and this is a bit of a finger in the air, there was one line in that episode that's kind of resonated with me, was where Riker pointed out he was still on reserve for Starfleet. He hadn't fully quit Starfleet. He's basically a reserve member. So part of me wonders if he isn't going to return in the last couple episodes captaining a Starfleet ship. Potentially, I mean, honestly, what's the great, maybe a showdown with Picard? Picard's standing up to, because obviously one of his key plot points here is that Starfleet has been infiltrated by the Secret Service of the Romulans or whatever.
Yeah.
And
the Tal Shiar.
Tal Shiar, whatever. The fucking Gestapo.
I'm just impressed that I remembered that.
I mean, it's hard to remember any of this stuff because I don't care. But it would be interesting maybe if they would. That would be maybe an interesting beat to have in the last episode. Would be, Riker and Picard facing each other down over. Riker is loyal to Starfleet, whereas Picard is no longer, considering he is aware that that they've been infiltrated by the Romulans and aren't what they used to be. We'll see. But I thought that line, look, honestly, it's a little bit like in The Last Jedi, one of the more disappointing things, I think, was where the Codebreaker guy, played by Benicio del Toro.
Oh yeah,
betrays the Realliance or the Rebels or whatever, and then he just walks away.
Yeah,
that's the end of the arc, right? That's it. I mean, that could be on Abrams, because he maybe Rian Johnson intended that to be explored in the last film, but they just kind of gone. I think remember you go, oh my god, he can't believe that guy betrayed them. I'll take my money. See you later, guys. Bye.
Bye.
And one of those really wretched things about that series now is that there are a whole bunch of loose ends that were left loose.
Yeah.
And, by Abrams in the last film, because everybody hated The Last Jedi, or a lot of people hated it. And Abrams just gone, oh, don't worry about that. We're going to do something different. So I would be very disappointed if Alex Kurtzman and the guys behind Picard are doing the same thing where Riker drops a juicy meatball like that. And people will pay attention to that. And then they go, oh, well, it was just a line of dialogue. It didn't actually mean anything by it. They were actually going to do it with that. But it's been disappointing, frankly. I think the original idea was there to be more episodes, which is interesting, because they really don't seem like they've had enough story for 10, let alone more. I can't remember the full story, but I believe when Amazon came on board to buy it, they cut the number of episodes down. And so they've had to compress their story.
I mean, maybe it's a similar situation to what happened with the Chronicles of Riddick, the second Riddick movie, where it was supposed to be this real space opera kind of thing, and they just were told cut that, and it ended up, because there were so many cuts, it felt paper thin and disjointed and uninteresting, because the mass meat and potatoes of the story was just they were just told no. And that wouldn't be the first time that a TV show has had that problem come in, and it's like, oh yeah, love it, we love all the people involved, but we don't want to invest quite that much, so do it in 10. Can you make it in 10? Yeah, you can do it in 10. It won't affect the story at all. No, it's fine. The pacing will be fine. Everything will be fine. We've got a solid, audience base that will definitely sign into it anyway. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Oh,
shit. Well, so you end up with a product that feels both rushed and slow at the same time.
Yeah.
So we have a bunch of thin characters who don't ever seem to develop. We don't know who they are. I don't know why they should care. Raffi's character should be interesting. I am with everybody who hates it. She calls him JL. Her main character arc seems to be she's angry a lot.
And a drunk.
Great. That's creative.
So like that's how you get the Oscars, right or drunk.
I want to like this so much, and I don't get caught up quite so much in the lore. Like a lot of people really get caught up in the fact that they're basically ignoring or violating or Star Trek lore. But when you stop and think about it, which I have, it doesn't make any sense. Like the start of the episode, the first episode, second episode, where Picard goes to the Admiral and asks for a small ship to go out to the Borg cube, and she says that famous line now, the sheer fucking hubris to him. This is a man who has on multiple occasions saved the fucking galaxy and the Federation. This man is an icon. He'd be like fucking Nelson Mandela, right? Level of, superhuman. Like he would be one of the most famous men in the galaxy.
Yeah.
And I'd be held in, I would imagine, the highest regard. I mean, it's not like he was responsible for the Simp attack that destroyed the Mars shipyards. He merely had a different opinion about it and resigned as a result. But I would imagine he would still be held in very high regard, whereas he's treated like a naughty schoolchild child.
Yeah.
And by that Admiral, and you're like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you treat him like that? The whole idea, essentially, that the Romulan Empire, the Romulan homeworld was blown up. But if you stop and actually go back again, I don't want to get caught up in the lore, but if you look at the lore, the Romulan Empire was massive, right? It was hundreds of planets. So if the Romulans, would the Romulans really have needed the Federation to evacuate all their people? Probably not. I mean, they could have done a lot of it themselves, but they might have needed a hand. And they've got this whole subplot with the planet of Romulan refugees who somehow have a grudge against Picard, even when it's not his fault. But what happened? I mean, there's also the question of like, why do they need to have a refugee planet when they've got hundreds of other planets already populated by Romulans?
Yeah.
And then I guess the final nail in it for me is the Romulan the Romulan space ninja, who looks a hell of a lot like Orlando Bloom's character from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. What's his name? Elnor.
Elrond, sorry. Fucking Elrond. Like, why do you need a space elf ninja why do you need a sword in space? Why are there swords in Star Trek?
It was kind of cool, the whole kind of the possibility, the way that they introduced his very early childhood relationship with Picard, and then the sort of like the distant father figure or whatever, and then it was just like at the end of like the first episode that Elnor actually gets on the ship. It's like, okay, yeah, you go sit in the corner over there, and you are going to practice the art of invisibility by not moving, and no one will engage with you because, we don't know really what to do with you. Oh, we've written ourselves into a little bit of a trouble. You can somehow teleport from the ship into the Borg cube, even though we had like half an episode talking about how incredibly difficult it was going to be to get on the Borg reclamation site, and they had to kind of strong arm Admiralty in the Starfleet to get some credentials and stuff. This guy suddenly goes, yeah, I can just bamf straight in, that's fine. And then it's like, oh yeah, this is a way better story for a warrior to be in. So like, oh yeah, because the Borg need fighters with swords. Come on.
It doesn't make any sense why he's there. I don't actually think his character is actually one of the more likable ones in the show. Being the sort of the outsider of this group, just kind of looking at how crazy everything is going on, but it doesn't make any sense. A whole lot of their choices don't make any sense. It half reeks of something. You make an excellent point. A lot of the beats in here are for people who are Trekkies. Like I said, people who I felt like I would consider myself a Trekkie, but the fact that I had to sort of go back and go, Bruce Maddox, I vaguely remember him. Like, it's been a very long time since I watched it.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's for hardcore Trekkies, and maybe that's what they don't want to alienate their core audience. But the same time, but the rest of it feels like it's for people who don't like Trek, and it feels like they're half pregnant.
Yeah.
They haven't pleased either audience, I don't think. I mean, it's got a 7.9 on IMDb. I meet people a lot of the time who think it's wonderful and brilliant, which makes me very angry because it's quite obviously not wonderful or brilliant. And this is why we can't have nice things, is because people keep accepting shit and calling it champagne. But it's been a disappointment for me, and it's been frustrating because I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that old curmudgeon who says, "Oh, I was better in the 90s."
Oh, Trek is good, Trek.
But like, Discovery sucks, and so does this for the most part. I will watch the last 2 episodes. I already subscribed to Amazon anyway, so I just hope it gets better. But I don't. I've been hoping it gets better now for a fuck ton of episodes, and it hasn't.
The biggest problem that I think the show has is there's no gateway character for anyone. There's no one, like, the show is called Picard, but he is, for the first half of this season, he is repeatedly told that he is too old, that he is no longer the man that he used to be, and he needs to be the original Jean-Luc Picard, and people consistently talk down to him. As an audience member, that's not fun to have your hero berated and belittled at every goddamn turn and show no respect.
He's yelled at a lot by a lot of women in this show, and like I know that sets off for men's rights activists, and not one of them. But when they point it out to you, and you stop and actually give it a fair hearing and go, he kind of does get chewed out a lot.
He gets chewed out by everyone. A fucking preteen space elf boy berates him emotionally and gets his way. And it's like, okay, come on. Everything that we had of Jean-Luc Picard in The Next Generation and all of the movies, and as Patrick Stewart as an actor, and the gravitas that he always bloody brings to anything that he's in, suddenly he's being bombarded by bullshit. And it's like, okay, so the show's called Picard, but the show doesn't want you to particularly emote and engage with Picard. Or if it does, it's really not doing a good job of actually making you feel like, no, he is right. He is right, because every turn he's been wrong as well. So, okay, it's not Picard, even though the show's called Picard. The captain, underdeveloped. Okay. Nope. Alison Pill's character. Nope. Who is supposed to be the character that we as an audience latch onto and follow? No one.
I think it's gone the other way. I mean, obviously in Discovery, the person you're supposed to root for is Michael Burnham.
Yeah.
And no doubt about that. You know, she's the protagonist. The show's about her. A lot of people don't like that. It didn't really bother me so much that, but it was just the storylines were boring, and it was basically woke Trek. And it was obviously it was wearing it on its sleeve. Hey, we're so woke. And I don't want to be that guy, but it really was bothering me. And Picard, you're right. It has no protagonist, and I just don't understand when I see people say it's wonderful. I'm on the edge of my seat. I can't wait to see what happens next. I'm genuinely astounded at what it is they're seeing, what they enjoy so much, and I just think that people will. Some people got very angry at me for things I said about whatever the last Star Wars film was called again. The Rise of Skywalker, was that it?
The end of a franchise? No, it's definitely not that. It's Disney.
People got angry at me about it, and I think people just instantly go, I like Star Wars, I'm going to defend this. It's good because it's Star Wars, and I think the same thing's happening here. People say, I like it because it's Trek, and that's all it needs to be. It needs to have that brand on it. And I'm sorry, for whatever it's worth, I'm never going to stand there. I'm not going to be that guy, Russian bots. I will never say something's good that it isn't just because I like the brand. I don't care what the fucking brand on it is. I said Captain Marvel blue. I like Marvel films. I like Star Wars, and I said the last couple of Star Wars films sucked to me. And I like Trek, and the last couple of Trek shows have been very, very disappointing.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed. We talked last time about the Orville, how you didn't dig it. And a lot of people say the same thing to me. They don't like Seth MacFarlane's sense of humor. And if you don't like Seth MacFarlane's sense of humor, probably going to find Orville hard to watch because it's in there on a subtle level all the time. And I don't need a TV show that follows the same model that Orville is, but I'm very glad there is a show that is, because there are a lot of people out there who still want to see that kind of TV. But I would have been happy with a show like Picard. It didn't have to be episodic like the old Next Gen did. But I just really wish they'd picked a more interesting story. If you're going to tell a 10-episode story, make it an interesting one.
Yeah. That's it. For me, the idea of a 10 or 11 episode story arc that is like the final days of Picard, and it is him being a Ronin, essentially going off and being masterless and trying to save the world. That in theory would be fucking cool, because Picard is an amazing strategist. He's a diplomat. He's an independent fighter. He's got the connections. He has that power, and he was always such a staunch Federation man. And if you suddenly put him in this position where it's like, no, the Federation is the bad guys, he's the good guy, you know that you already love Picard, so we've just got to put in this interesting juxtaposition of the good guy that you love and the Federation, which has always been held up as this symbol of hope. There's conflict there, and there's none in this show.
I just had an idea. Star Trek Ronin. That's exactly what you just said, right?
Yeah.
The ninja whose master has been killed.
Mm-hmm.
Picard is the Ronin.
Yeah. That would be fucking...
You could remake like a Seven Samurai in the Trek universe. Like, fuck, man, that's all what George Lucas did.
Yeah. Yeah.
He just ripped off Kurosawa films and put them in space, and now he's worth billions.
Yeah. It would be
I'm not
fucking awesome. That, right? Yeah.
But no, I don't want to be uber critical. I will watch the end of it. I'll probably watch season 2 when it comes out.
Yeah.
I just hope it'll be better. It's really been disappointing to me that unless I'm just getting old and I can't enjoy things anymore. But I really want to enjoy it.
You just lost your soul.
I want to like it. And every now and again there's a show, like, if we can segue onto something different here, Office. The best show on TV right now is Better Call Saul. We are on season 5 of Better Call Saul now. I think we're 4 or 5 episodes in, and it is every bit as wonderful as it has been for the last 4 seasons. And I know I say
such an apologist.
Sorry?
I said, you're such an apologist.
An apologist for Better Call Saul. Russian bots on over every year I say this, but how the fuck does Vince Gilligan make one of the greatest TV shows of all time, in Breaking Bad? Some people don't like it. That's fine. Everybody says The Wire is good. I can't stand it. Generally widely agreed as one of the top 5 TV shows of all time. I think most people would say a cultural phenomenon, like Breaking Bad. And then he comes out and makes a prequel series that is every bit as good as the original, and in many ways.
I'll tell you exactly how he's done it, because he has planned. He has planned the whole thing. He's not detail planned the whole thing, but he has got a very clear idea of this is how it starts, and this is the basic way that it's going to end. And over the course of time and the actors and what they bring to it and how the audience react, we might need to tweak it a little bit, but that's the goal. That's what he did with Breaking Bad. That's what he's done with this. The 6th season, which is going to be airing next year, that's the final season. He's always worked on a restricted amount of seasons and episodes, and he knows exactly what he's doing. Whereas most modern shows now, it's like, oh yeah, we've got a cool concept. Don't know how it finishes. Let's just keep going until it doesn't get any viewers anymore.
But the Abrams approach.
Yeah. The Abrams approach, the Arrowverse, anything by, the Warner Brothers superhero stuff. Yeah. Let's
just wrench every possible dollar we can out of it before we leave it dying, the dry carcass on the side of a road. You're probably right. I doubt he planned Better Call Saul when he was writing Breaking Bad.
No.
but I feel like he understood the character. And the funny thing is, I think I've received some interviews with Bob Odenkirk, who's actually said that the intention wasn't for Saul to feature terribly heavily in the show. I think he was hired for a few episodes in the first season he was featured in, and they never really liked the character so much. They brought him back for the next season, and before you know it, he was an integral part of the show because everybody loved the character so much. And so I'm sure he didn't set out to make the character thinking, oh, well, I'm going to make a spin-off character about this. But when the show ended,
but when he finally actually sat down and went, okay, people actually want this, I remember an interview, him saying, yeah, I only want to do it if I've actually got a good story. And it didn't come out straight away after the end of the first one. He stopped and he actually considered things for a while. And he's someone who hasn't gone, oh, right, so I've got this one, this pot boiling over here. I'm going to go off and just do a different franchise over here. And I'm going to do another one over here. I'm going to produce over here. And I'm going to do that. And I'm going to spread myself as thin as possible. And then suddenly the whole kitchen's on fire. That's what J.J. Abrams has done.
No, you're right. I think you're probably right. I always go back to, and the Russian bots are sick of hearing it, but your wall, when you were living in Maribyrnong, the post-it notes said the huge arc of your stories, right? You've got an idea in your head where these characters are coming from, where they're going, and where they're going to end up. And I suspect you're right. At some point, Vince Gilligan has sat down and sort of plotted out where he thinks Saul's come from, and at a high level. And he's obviously one of the most insanely talented guys working in television at the moment. I know people didn't like El Camino. They're wrong. It was good. I thought it was great, but it's remarkable what he does with Better Call Saul. And Bob Odenkirk has just made this character this incredible character, and he must go to sleep at night thanking Vince Gilligan for the opportunity to play this character. It's a character of a lifetime for him. I don't know if you're a big fan or not, if you haven't got on board yet, or any of the Russian bots haven't got on board yet. This is great. It's on Stan, the Australian streaming service Stan. We got 4.5 seasons or so to get through now, and so it's, if you're locked up like so many people will be over the next few weeks, it's you could do a lot worse.
I am almost at the point where the fervor has finally reached a point for me with Breaking Bad that I feel like I could actually sit down and start watching it just quietly, not telling anyone. I'll just go through it for as far as I can, hopefully through till the very end. I will just watch it. I think by the end of this year, I will have watched Breaking Bad.
Well, I can feel for you. Like I said, everybody keeps telling me how amazing The Wire is. All these polls, there's always 1, 2, or 3. You use The Sopranos and The Wire, 1 and 2. You can divvy up the spots between them. And I watch it, I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Fine, I guess. I don't really like any of his characters. I don't really care of the story. It seems kind of boring. Nothing much as interesting is happening. And I'm sure it's one of those shows that maybe because it's got this huge reputation now, but that's probably working against it. When I started watching Breaking Bad, it had a reputation. It wasn't the reputation it has now as cultural phenomenon, greatest show of all time kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I still needed a few episodes to get into it because I think, as I've told you before, I couldn't stand Bryan Cranston because I hated Malcolm in the Middle. So I was like, oh, no, I can't watch a show with this guy in it. No. But before I'm glad I stuck at it because I thought it was worth it. But so I do sympathize with you in the sense that despite something being everybody thinking something's amazing and, everyone you respect thinking something's amazing, sometimes having that reputation does make it really hard work to ever really, can it live up to that reputation?
That's what I had with Seinfeld.
I think Seinfeld has aged a lot.
Yeah. True.
And I feel like comedy is also a lot more subjective than drama.
That's true.
So much comedy that people think is hilarious. I don't get it. It doesn't do anything for me. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Don't get it. Community, Parks and Rec, The Office. I'm fussy that comedy. So I'm sympathetic that you may get through the whole series and go, really, is it that good? Can anything ever live up to reputation when you're not in the moment, right? You're not sitting there waiting for next week's episode with bated breath because you've been on this ride for 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah.
So there are worse shows out there to watch than Breaking Bad, and I hope you'd find something in it. But at the same time, have my sympathies because it's an uphill battle sometimes trying to come in later and watch these shows that have such a huge reputation.
I have a feeling that I'm probably going to end up actually having a similar kind of feeling to it, like when I started watching the Orville, and I see everything that they're doing technologically, why they're making those choices, and I can understand that what kind of show it is. It's just not my kind of show. I have a feeling that Breaking Bad is going to run along those lines as well, where I'm going to see some amazing performances and quality, but it's just from what I know of it, which honestly is very, very little, it doesn't seem like the kind of show that I would just naturally navigate towards anyway. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of where I come down there, but I think anyone who watches it and goes, oh no, that's a pile of shit, is clearly just tarring it with a very, very broad brush, and they're not kind of actually analyzing it and explaining why. I don't think that something as lauded and praised as Breaking Bad can be shit. I think that it can very much be, that's not my kind of thing, which is fine. But just because it's not your kind of thing doesn't mean that it's shit. I think that it's...
You don't like it.
Yeah. And that's...
Whereas I can say I think Picard is objectively not great. But so that's where when people can say to me, I think The Wire is the greatest show of all time, it doesn't do it for me in terms of police shows. Something's not clicking with me here.
Yeah.
Whereas The Sopranos clicked straight away for me because I came into that show years after it stopped being aired and had that huge reputation. But something about The Sopranos clicked with me, whereas The Wire didn't. But obviously, you can see the writing it's not shit. It's just not for me. It's just something not clicking for me.
Yeah.
Some shows that people think are amazing. I'm sorry, I'm not going to say that's good. Discovery and Picard are not good TV. But Better Call Saul, I don't think it would be worth you. A good thing for you is hopefully you'll find something in Breaking Bad over a few seasons, and maybe if you do, you've got an amazing 4 or 5 seasons of TV shows of prequel to come, and that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Have you found anything else you'd recommend to people to help get through the apocalypse?
Actually, yes. I have been going down an apocalypse route recently. In fact, I much like you said before, I went back to watch Fury Road, and it is still wonderful. Although, in some ways, it suffers from the similar problem that I talked about with Picard. Of sort of like, it's called Picard, but it's not necessarily about Picard. Mad Max Fury Road, not really about Mad Max.
It's about Furiosa.
Yeah, which totally fine with, because she's a compellingly written character performed by a great actor. But apparently she and Tom Hardy really didn't like each other on set.
I think the idea originally was to have the next Mad Max film be about her.
I rather like the idea of it not being about Max, so to speak, but I also do love the character of Mad Max. I think he's cool. But I'm not going to really spend much time talking about that. But after that, I decided to go slightly different route of apocalypse, like kaiju monsters. I decided to rewatch the Gareth Edwards Godzilla movie with Aaron Taylor Johnson and what's her face, his sister from the Avengers.
The Olsen.
That's the one, yeah.
Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah, and it's still weird. It's still weird seeing them as a married couple. And it was basically that I think this came out the same year or the year before or after they debuted as brother and sister in Age of Ultron. It's like, yeah, it's just weird. And neither of them have got very good chemistry. Aaron Taylor Johnson is not a great actor, or at the very least, he's not an action star. So he should not have been in this kind of movie. And this, I'm very glad that this movie made enough money that a sequel and then this third one, Godzilla versus Kong, got made. But it's such a disappointing Godzilla because they spend far, far, far too much time on the humans. I understand why, because you can't, you can't have the main thing about Godzilla because Godzilla has, really one speed and not exactly a loquacious fella. So I understand that. But when you have Godzilla, you show Godzilla and everything is dust clouds and everything is dark. They were so terrified of actually showing Godzilla. And you never got a really good shot or look at what Godzilla did or could do, or there wasn't really enough going on there. However, the sequel, Godzilla King of Monsters, really rectified that. And the director of it, whose name I'm just going to look up, he very obviously heard those problems of you couldn't see the monster. Similarly, the same sort of problem was with Pacific Rim, which, again, I watched as part of the Apocalypse Kaiju thing. The first one, all of the fights are at night, and there's always water and things like that just covering it up because they didn't have full confidence in what people would think about them. What's his name? Michael Dougherty. He directed this, and he's really not done much before this. He did Krampus, Trick or Treat, and a couple of TV bits. So he's suddenly getting one of the icons of cinema, of Godzilla. He did a really good job. And he not only did he have to essentially do a soft restart of Godzilla, he had King Ghidorah as well as all of the other Titans. And it's not a great movie. It is a fun movie. It is escapology, and it ticks along nicely. Kyle, what the fuck is his name? Kyle Chandler, Vera Farmiga, Millie Bobby Brown, Ken Watanabe, with a nice, huh?
Ken Watanabe is the only good line in Godzilla. He's like, "Let them fight."
Yes, and they pay homage to it in the second one because it's such a good line. But they got Bradley Whitford, whose face everyone will recognize. But
he was in the West Wing. He was in Get Out.
Yeah, that fella right there. If I ever actually put this video up online,
he played Josh in the West Wing.
Yes,
so like good TV shows, and he played the dad in Get Out. He pops up all the time. He's one of those faces. He was in movies. He popped.
But they got a good eclectic cast in. All of them actually do work and do put the effort in. The CGI and the special effects, the fight sequences are generally good. And even though you are, again, still following the humans, when the fight is happening, it's not like, oh, look at that puny human down there from me being 600 fucking feet high. Yeah, of course you're going to be able to see that. It's like a fucking eagle seeing an ant that's hiding underneath a leaf. It's like, the eagle doesn't fucking care about the ant. These guys, they actually incorporate that. So like, yeah, it's just destruction. And the people, the humans, are idiots because they try and get involved. And they are revealed to be idiots every single time. It's like, good. That's how it should be. It's a monster movie. Let it be the monsters. Let them fight. And I am now scared that Godzilla versus Kong is either going to be further delayed or just digitally released and not get the fanfare that Godzilla or King Kong legatorially, I just made that word up, I think, deserve. Because I also liked Kong Skull Island because it's just escapology and fun, and you don't have to think. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's set for November. It might be safe.
You never know. You never know. It's I tell you something. It is so fucking telling. The effects of the coronavirus. So like, Black Widow was supposed to come out very, very soon. There was another Mulan was supposed to come out very, very soon. All these Disney properties that were days and weeks away from launch have just suddenly been pulled, and yet for some reason, some of their other ones haven't been pulled. Gee, I wonder which ones they thought weren't going to be that successful. Artemis Fowl, I'm looking right at fucking you.
Hey, they pull the New Mutants.
Again.
Everybody knows that. Everyone knows that won't be successful. It's sitting on
that,
shelf
poor,
for
that poor movie can't get a damn break. It has been sitting on a shelf for 2 years.
It's on a shelf for 2 years. Stick it on Disney Plus.
Exactly. I don't understand why they're not just doing that. Apparently, Birds of Prey is being released digitally as of yesterday, I think. They've cut the cinema. Yeah. It's going to be very, very interesting. And it's going to be a very interesting one with the effects on the video game industry as well. Because yesterday we had 2 big releases with Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing. Very different groups, but shoppers are not able to go to the shops. I wonder if this is going to be one of the final big nails in the coffin of retail computers, whether we're going to see the online services of the big three.
Charging $100 yesterday for Doom, I paid.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to be able to finally break the chains.
Microsoft to break that bond and go, you know what? We're in competition.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't need the bricks and mortar stores for this. So we are going to mark ourselves as on our own digital stores competitively for a change.
It certainly it was accidental really, because I think Doom was supposed to come out September, October last year originally. And then they asked for an extension, basically, so they could finish the game, which we were all pretty cool with, really, because we'd rather see the game done properly.
Hell yeah.
But, oh, my God. Bethesda lucked out massively. Like, I mean, there have been literally no games this year that I've actually wanted to buy, like proper AAA titles. This is probably the first AAA title of the year, unless something, maybe something Nintendo came out that I wasn't aware of, but in the PlayStation, Xbox space, and it lands smack bang right in the middle of a time where I read a story the other day that apparently online gaming volume has gone up 75%.
Yep.
So they're going to sell a lot of copies of Doom. Can I just come back to Godzilla for one tick?
Yeah.
One thing I think interesting about Godzilla is it was directed by Gareth Edwards. Gareth Edwards has made one film in his entire career that's worth seeing. And yes, that includes Rogue One, which everybody seems to give a pass. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And that film is Monsters.
Yeah.
And that is his first film. He remade Monsters with Godzilla. What was great about Monsters was he had no budget.
Yep.
And he told a really interesting little story. It was sort of about immigration and refugees and that kind of thing, but he didn't have the money to actually show the monsters very much. So it was one of those cool little indie films where necessity became the mother of invention.
Yep.
Where they show them the monster because they couldn't afford to show the monster.
Mm-hmm.
So creepier and scarier as a result of that, and that really worked for that little film.
Yeah.
I should have reminded him when he took over Godzilla, that he had a, I don't know, $150, $200 million budget, I'm guessing.
Probably.
A massive Hollywood budget. You can show the fucking monster as much as you want.
Yeah.
And it will look cool. Because you're paying for the best, special effects money can buy.
Mm-hmm.
So, show the monster.
Yeah.
Don't just read the same film you made last time, which is what he did again. And that didn't work for him. Speaking of Doom, I picked it up yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of hours worth of gameplay to give you some initial impressions.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you fan of Doom?
Oh, dude, I love Doom. I'm awful at it, but I love it.
Did it come out on Nintendo yet?
Doom Eternal is it was
right?
supposed to come out day and date, but they delayed it because they wanted to improve the port, and I think it's going to come out in November. But as a peace offering, we did also get Doom 64, which is the Nintendo 64 version of the original Doom, and it's so good. It's pure member berry goodness.
But Doom 2016 is available on Switch now.
Oh yeah, and it's actually a good port. I mean, it's the ugly stepsister of all the Doom variations. All the other ones have got much better sort of like graphics and stuff, but it's still Doom, and you still feel like a badass as you're ripping everyone apart and stuff. It's good. It's good.
No, it was a good game 2016, and I enjoyed it a lot. I bought 2 games yesterday. One was Eternal, which cost me $100 on Xbox on Microsoft Store, and also a friend of mine. I'm trying to self-isolate here. I might be sick. I don't know. A friend of mine, we were talking about online gaming, and she mentioned a game on Steam that she played, and I bought it for $5. I've played one of those games for about 18 hours now, and it's not Doom. I was a bit meh about the first couple of hours I've spent with Doom Eternal. I know it's very different to what other professional critics are saying. We're saying it's, amazing, game of the year, blah, blah, blah. Initial impressions, it's different to 2016. They haven't just given us more of Doom 2016, which it should actually probably laudable, really. I mean, I think everybody would have been pretty happy with just more of that, please, because it was pretty good.
It was fun.
But they haven't. They've changed it up a little bit. It's much harder.
Okay.
Much more intense. And for me, that doesn't make it more fun. So the enemies are harder. They are tougher. And the other part of it is ammo is significantly more limited. You are running out of ammo all the time.
Do you still have the pinata thing where you gore the bad guys?
Glory kills are still there, and as for glory kill, as per the first game, when you stagger an enemy, they'll start flashing, and you can do a glory kill, which they'll spit out health, and you can use that as obviously a main mechanic to staying alive. I guess the flip side of that is now they've changed how the chainsaw works in this game a little bit. As in the last one, chainsawing an enemy they'll spit out a giant pile of ammo. But unlike in the last game, you'll always have the chainsaw will constantly have enough petrol to do at least that. So you'll be able to slowly regenerate petrol to the point over time. So you are able to regularly chainsaw an enemy to get ammo. So you pretty much, there are ammo drops elsewhere, but you do have to actually quite regularly chainsaw enemies to actually get enough ammo to stay alive. So that is going to be kind of a big part of the gameplay loop, is chainsawing enemies. And I mean, I know, again, probably a lot of people think this is amazing gameplay and they really love it. It doesn't work for me. I kind of there are a lot of games out there like that where, I know Resident Evil and stuff, you've got to be super, and Metro 2033, where you've got to be super careful with your ammo because it's not lying around everywhere and stuff like that. But for me, I just sort of thought the fun part of Doom was running around like a complete badass, blasting the shit out of demon, fucking multiple weapons, and lots of cool different types of weapons and stuff like that. I don't feel like that in this game. I kind of feel constantly constrained. I mean, I know that's probably a deliberate choice. Like, you're constantly tense. I've got to watch my ammo. I mean, how many shots have I got left for this thing? I've got to switch to the shotgun, and I'm going to have to chainsaw an enemy soon. Oh, shit, I'm stuck with a boss. I got to find an enemy with ammo. I got to find an enemy who I actually have enough petrol to chainsaw. And I know that's probably a deliberate choice in behalf of the people who made the game. I don't enjoy it as much as I did the 2016 one, where So I'm now probably, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours into the game. I've got 2 weapons.
Really?
Really. So the actual drip feed of weapons seems significantly slower than in other games. They drop mini bosses into the first 10 minutes of a game. You know, and the difference now, mini bosses have weak points.
Yeah.
Where if you, that was an arachnid boss, mini boss thing where, you know, has a weak point, has like a turret on its head. If you shoot the turret, its long range attack you won't be able to do it anymore. But it's really hard to hit that turret. Like, it's a really small target on this on this this mini boss, and like, they're a fucking pain in the ass to kill. And again, probably a deliberate choice on behalf of the producers to go, we want this to be fucking intense and hard from the moment you get into it.
Yeah.
That doesn't really, I mean, I'm fine, I guess, with mini bosses, but I don't feel like I've been particularly well equipped to kill them. It's really felt like a struggle so far to really get into it. I mean, admittedly, I've been a little bit sick lately, a little bit. I don't think I've got the coronavirus, but time will tell. You know, and I wasn't in the best mood for playing a game like this yesterday night, but like, I was just like, really, I just want to run around with a chain gun and shoot things. Like,
that's it. For me, Doom has always been fast-paced, gory, kind of pseudo wish fulfillment, where you literally are a badass, and you never, I felt like I never really had to worry about health, because I was, you know, there was always plenty of shield to go around, and if you did get hit into health, it's like, oh fuck, but you know, it's fine. Rocket launcher them in the face and they're dead. And you go through and you just get to, you know, you actually feel like a real badass. And it sounds like they're kind of taking more of a survival element to it, and it's like, that's not what I want. That's not what Doom is to me.
That's true. It really is a survival angle to it, and like I said, the critics are creaming their pants over it. Everybody's losing their shit. Like, so I guess if you're a really hardcore gamer type, maybe this is exactly what you want in a Doom game. I'll keep playing it.
Yeah,
paid $100 for it. It's not bad by any stretch. It's beautiful. It's beautifully designed. They fixed the map in this one, which is great. The map in the last game sucked.
Oh, it's awful.
The collectibles are still there and cool and stuff like that. It all looks good. It plays well. It's fast, like you said, and that you're running around like a crazy person. It's just, I don't know. I haven't really been enjoying this new survival-ish element, as you sort of said, the new angle of trying to make it more tense and more difficult. I guess that'll mean it'll stretch it out a little longer, hopefully. But, I mean, yesterday I bought a game called...
It's got to last 2 weeks.
I bought a game called Broforce yesterday.
Okay.
And this is a game I think has been out about 5 or 6 years. And it cost me $5 on Steam. And
now, is this the one where you're kind of like iconic historical characters or something?
Iconic action characters.
Yeah.
And so it's a side-scrolling action game where you're shooting, think like a little like Contra, and it's all very tongue-in-cheek, and you play like they've all got funny names, like, you know, Brobo, like instead of Rambo, it's got being, of course, Bro into the name of everything. So Ellen Bro instead of Ellen Ripley, or Mr. Anderson from The Matrix is like Mr. Anderbro, that kind of thing. Instead of Braveheart, it's Broheart, and that kind of thing. But yeah, you got John McClane, Rambo's in there, Arnold Schwarzenegger's characters, you know, Terminator's in there, Bro Cop, that kind of thing. And it's tongue in cheek with kind of the character names, and but you're basically playing on a side-scrolling map, and you've got to shoot enemies and rescue POWs to try and escape the level. It's sort of got an 8-bit graphic style.
Yeah.
And I probably spent, my friend Carolyn and I probably spent, I'd say about 4 hours this afternoon playing it together on Steam.
Okay.
And it gets obviously increasingly harder. We actually fucking close to finishing it today. I swear to God, but couldn't quite get there, and I knew I had to start this podcast, so I got over it. But you are randomly selected your character as you sort of progress through the levels, through rescuing POWs. You unlock more of these characters, these classic action characters. And then when you respawn at the start of a mission, it randomly assigns you one of the characters you've unlocked. And then when you rescue a POW, it assigns you a new one of those classic action characters. And each of them has different abilities and different attack styles and different strengths and weaknesses and different special abilities. Honestly, that's been the highlight of my gaming year so far is Broforce. And that cost me $5 on Steam. So there's a really nice little multiplayer element to the game. So you can play it solo, which is fun. Maybe it's just what I was in the mood for rather than something as elaborate as Doom.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I like about this game is it's one of those games where you can try something 15 different ways and fail miserably every time. But there are 400 different ways of doing it.
Yeah.
Not one or two ways to do it, and you've got to get good enough to do it one of those two ways or you're going to fail.
Yeah.
You just got to keep trying. You will find a way to get through it. It's just a matter of trial and error and fail. So, and you can shoot everything. Everything in the map is destructible.
Nice.
So I like those kind of games. I find it a little dispiriting when you, in a game like Doom, where you fight a boss 4 times, you're like, I guess there are probably different ways of doing it, but they're essentially the trade-off. And you said you're crap at Doom. I'm crap at Doom. The trade-off here is get good.
Yeah. Now, I have been playing a game since yesterday that is going to single-handedly save the world because it is so sweet, charming, innocent, and cute. And that is Animal Crossing's New Horizons.
I see what the fuck is this game?
It's life sim, but the easiest one. Like, for example, day one, I get the game, I load it up, and the game starts. You are taking a holiday to an isolated island where you are just going to camp. There's a little community that's going to slowly build, and you can catch bugs and fish and critters, and you can harvest fruit and just have a nice relaxing time, just doing essentially anything that you want to do. And everything you do funnels into like your achievements, like oh, you've earned more money, which you can sell and things like that. When you start the game, Tom Nook, the guy who every Nintendo person that knows the name of and loathes and loves in the same way, he says, oh, the most important thing I haven't given you is your bill for getting you here and all of the accommodation and things. And it's like 98,000 bells. By the end of the first day, I had paid that off entirely, and I had saved up enough money that I could buy a house. And it's like, this is the life that I would really like. There's no interest on the repayments. There's no, oh, you have to do it every on the set dates or anything. You can pay it off when you can afford to pay it off. If you want to buy other things at the shop, you do that. It's just so charming. It's delightful. And you just sit there, and it's a very zen game. It's like, oh, I haven't got that bug. I'll take that to the museum and donate it. And oh, I'll sell that one. Oh, I'm gonna craft myself a bonfire. And it's a game about doing nothing and everything. It's just lovely. You would hate it.
Can you murder people like you could in The Sims?
No.
Well, that's not fun.
It is.
You can't lock people and put people in a room and then delete the door so they can't get out. That's my favorite part of that game.
Well, the last Sims really killed that franchise. But
I think they monetized the fuck out of it, like with microtransactions and expansions. I haven't played it in probably 15 years, but that was always the fun part, was finding interesting and creative ways to kill your Sims. Exactly. All my neighbors. And then plant their graves in the front yard and then watch people still come around. Well, I know it was a big one for people. And I just looked at the game and like I guess is this a new franchise or is this an existing IP?
This is existing. It's been largely a part of the Nintendo handheld family, like the Game Boy and the DS and that sort of stuff. But there've been like a couple of variations of the game on. This is the first time that they've gone, yep, this is your quintessential Animal Crossing game. Everything you need on the Nintendo Switch. It looks beautiful. The sound is lovely. It plays beautiful. It's simple to pick up and play. It's just one that you can just sit and not really think and just enjoy. Really, really lovely.
Well, I mean, that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah. And it's the big thing for me that has come out of March 20th with Doom and Animal Crossing is the crossover stuff that has been coming out of like the Animal Crossing cute characters have been sort of like put into a band where they're playing the Doom theme song and stuff, and it just looks ridiculous. And bits of the Doom guy walking around just catching butterflies and things like that. It's so delightful. Everyone wants Doom guy to turn up in Smash Brothers. It's probably going to happen now if it wasn't already.
Ooh, it's just a question of licensing, right?
Oh, clearly you don't. Yeah, so Smash Brothers, it is like the ultimate franchise party. I mean,
fighting game, and they've got lots of different characters, but aren't they normally Nintendo characters?
No, well, the core stuff usually is, but they've got stuff from Metal Gear Solid in there. They've got Castlevania. They've obviously got Sonic. There's there's no one off the table really, because they've had some insane things that, oh, such and such a character's in it. Well, that's just crazy. Like the Final Fantasy character Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII. That's a franchise that had a very ugly divorce from Nintendo when they went over to Sony in the PlayStation 1 days. And everyone was like, what the fuck? Really? It's part of that sort of like computer gaming soap opera background. There's like, okay, wow, well, if that can happen, then anything can happen. And Microsoft is very open about it.
Things happen that don't seem like they could, right?
Exactly. It's amazing what Crossing Palms with Silver will do. Now, the other gaming thing that I want to quickly talk about.
Yeah.
I finally upgraded my Xbox Live to the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate thing, which bundles in their Game Pass and their Live. And I've been slowly but surely working through some of the games on there.
I have it as well. I think it's a wonderful value for money service.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
$10 a month and you get a giant library of games you can download and play at any time.
Yeah, yeah. I decided that my first game, because I love the franchise of the Sniper Elite games, I decided to do number 4, and it's not great. It looks beautiful, but the playground areas are just too big, and you end up spending time just moving around this huge area that's just not fun. In number 3, my favorite ones were the like tunneled streets, the really narrow, shorter things where you had to sneak through and try and kill people strategically to find that ideal spot to get that sniper position so that you could complete the mission. Not, all right, one-man army this, and I'm a sniper. So like, yeah, you wouldn't send a sniper to be a one-man army. Yeah. It's kind of dumb. So it's frustrating.
That's interesting. I picked up and had a look at Rage on the Game Pass.
Oh, yes.
Big release from Bethesda last year. Yeah. It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. Did you ever play Mad Max, the video game?
No. I heard it was quite good.
With Fury Road, I think, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It was okay. It was you sort of end up driving your car around looking for parts for your car and like beating the shit out of like randos. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of Rage because he's sort of driving around this open world and fighting stuff. And the fighting's fine, the driving's fine, it looks good-ish.
It's apparently similar to the Shadow of Mordor game.
Oh no, that's much. Shadow of Mordor, I really liked those games.
Yeah.
I guess I can see that in the sense there are strongholds or points in the map. The idea is to take control of that stronghold, and then also like a film like Just Cause, where you take over points in the map to
Yeah.
take over a region with the idea of taking over the whole area. It's nowhere near as much fun as the Shadow of Mordor games. In fairness, the Shadow of Mordor games had an advantage that Rage doesn't have, and what's Rage's weakness for me is the Shadow of Mordor was based on one of the great works of literature of the 20th century.
True.
A nice advantage when it comes to your story, where you're basing it on a great work of literature and cinema of the last century. Rage's story is blah, blah, blah. Random even person. Take over the world. Blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, it could have been any more generic, the story. I just skipped through all. I couldn't be bothered watching it. Just let me kill some shit. And I guess the problem is that once you get into a game like that, and if you don't care about why you're doing it or understand why you're doing it, it's very difficult to make any kind of emotional connection with it. Yeah. Unless it's insanely. I mean, I guess Doom's the example of like, do we really care why we're killing demons?
Nope.
It's just super fun.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not fun enough to get away without a story. I don't think there's been an open world game. Well, look, Just Cause 2 had a really lousy story, and Still Outbound was a lot of fun. But you have to really pump the fun level up.
Yeah.
And I think Rage pumps the fun level or originality level up to a point where it can get away without you giving a shit about why you're doing it. It's okay. It's not bad. It's not great. It's on Game Pass. Yeah, you're not paying it. You might as well check it out if you like open world shooters.
Yeah. The only other game of note that I have finally managed to finish downloading all the updates for and started playing is the Elder Scrolls Online.
I've heard good things about this.
That's a huge fucking game. It's like 100-odd gig initial download, and then before you can actually start playing, it's like, oh, you need to do the update. It's like, okay, what's that? Another 100 gigs or something. It's like, holy fuck me, Jesus.
Yeah, 100 gig free on my Xbox.
Yeah, it is huge, absolutely huge. And I think I've only spent maybe an hour or so into it, and Skyrim's more fun.
Well, I mean, what's the difference? Skyrim's one of the great games of all time.
True.
So, I mean, it's a bit like comparing. It's difficult to compare much to Skyrim because even years. I opened my Steam account to play by Broforce yesterday.
Yeah.
And I had a look at some of my games in my library, and my pile of shame is huge. But I spent over 450 hours on Skyrim on Steam alone. Probably could add another 40 or 50 hours on Switch. The scary thing, though, that is not my number one game I've spent the most hours on Steam.
Oh. What was it?
It's a game called Banished.
Okay. I don't know.
Do you like SimCity games, that kind of your kind of jam or not?
Not hugely, but I've dabbled in them for sure.
Not like SimCity, but that's probably the closest thing you would find to it. I've heard it called Survival Sim or Survival Zen, as some people called it. So you start off as a collection of people who've been banished from a nearby city, and you have to rebuild your society from the ground up. But you start up with a barn and a bunch of people to build shit.
Okay.
And sort of those resource management, you got to manage food, wood, water, cleanliness, housing, civil facilities, and that kind of thing. But it's fucking brutal. Like if you don't like set yourself up right, and some of your farms like contract some sort of like crop disease, and you had a bad harvest, you're fucked. You are fucked. Like you can just watch your graveyards fill up as people just die. And like you will be working your ass off for the next 10 years to bring it back from that point where you almost like, if you take your eye off a ball and you don't have enough people, enough firewood available for the winter, people will die like flies of cold and freeze to death. And it sort of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of like, you won't have enough people the next year to cut enough wood to get through the next winter because all the people are dead.
Yeah.
But it's not your mama's Sim City. It's pretty fucking brutal. So I have 650 hours on that game. It's so fucking good. It's so good.
Well, you'll be pleased to know that as of September 19th, 2018, the lead designer on the game said that he is developing a successor.
I would hope so. One thing that disappoints me is it's a very basic game. I think it was just a one-man crew who made the original, which is very impressive. But it was always disappointing to me. I feel like it was a game that would have worked on mobile. Like you could have figured out a way to one of the mobile devices, or it'll be amazing on Switch. But I mean, it's been out for a number of years, so I guess, and it's kind of a niche. So maybe there's no market for that kind of thing. But it would have been great to have played on mobile.
Yeah,
because it's a great time sink. Like if I could have taken out a plane, my plane flight would have gone in no time. You remember planes? You remember taking flights overseas? You remember those were the days?
I remember that from nearly 10 years ago.
But it's a very old game now. It's been out for probably at least 6 or 7 years, I'm guessing. It's still fun though. But we'll probably get a chance to go through if things go as badly as I think they will in this city. We'll get a chance to. I'll get a chance to explore my pile of shame.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I've got some seriously weird stuff in here. I've got Jesus Christ RPG. Looking forward to that one.
You could live stream it and invite Kirk Cameron.
And I did download a I don't know what you call it. It's called Crush Crush. It's one of those girlfriend simulator Japanese games.
Oh no!
Yeah, how bad could it possibly be? But we will potentially find out. And the other one I've been kind of curious to find out is called Brief Karate Foolish. Brief Karate Foolish. And I think it's about karate fighters who fight in their underpants. So you can find some very random stuff on Steam sometimes.
Yep. It's called shovelware.
I don't think it cost me anything.
Well, on that delightful note, ladies and gentlemen, I think we'll bring this episode to an end. Thank you so much for listening, and please head over to Amazon and buy my book, because if retail is going to die, then I need an alternative life source. Please.
Do wash your hands. Stay the fuck at home if you can.
If you can.
2 people on this podcast have to go to work on Monday because I don't know about you, but I've always been passionate about not starving to death.
Well, you know what? I'm considering it as a life choice, but at the same time, I have other hobbies in my life that require money.
Money can be exchanged for goods and services.
I have heard this. But also, services can be exchanged for money. So I may become a gigolo.
There you go. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you are interested, reach out to Fried Brain Productions for George's Gigolo service. It's alliteration. It works.
George's Gigolos. Happy, guaranteed.
But if you are one of those people who are fortunate, Russian bots out there, I feel like Russia's got away with this. I haven't heard about what's happening in Russia.
Nothing can hurt Muscle Russia.
If you're one of those people listening and you are able to work from home or stay home or quit your job or go camping or something, just stay the fuck at home. that's going to be your best choice right now. And if you can't stay at home like George and I, just wash your hands as much as possible. Stay safe. Keep your distance from people.
I've just worked out what I'm going to do. There's the classic book, Go the Fuck to Sleep. Stay the Fuck at Home is the spiritual sequel.
Published in time. That's the question. Can you get it?
I am using this medium to copyright that idea, ladies and gentlemen.
If it lasts a while, you never know. People aren't going to go out and buy it, are they? Because nobody's going to go outside.
It'll be a digital release.
Brilliant. Pays for itself. So do stay safe, our friends at Russian bots out there. Mm-hmm. It's a brave new world. I was saying to someone yesterday, I got back from my cruise on the 7th of January. That's 2.5 months ago. And geez, a lot's happened since then.
Yeah. 2020 has been an interesting year. We'll see how the rest of it goes, but maybe it's just getting all the drama out of the way early.
Maybe. As they say, I'm not saying that David Bowie was holding the universe together, but look what's happened since he died.
Oh no, am I going to have to come back?
I wish you a safe and happy good night.
Good night.
Ask me how I am, and tell me what's beneath this sleep. There's something else in place, and in the silence those words will keep. Will keep, will keep. What is your truth? Has it been blurred by time? Has it seeped away from you? What is your truth? We dread this ebb and flow. It's taking pieces bit by bit. The more we're shown, the less we know. Helpless by all and after still. We'll keep, we'll keep. What is your truth? Has it been blurred by time? Has it seeped away from you? what is your truth? We'll keep, we'll keep, we'll keep, we'll keep, we'll keep, we'll keep, we'll keep.